suck. You done flapped the wrong jack, sucker. No, you fool.
Larson.
It's Rusev Day! Happy Rusev Day! Rusev Day! Ho, ho, ho,
Happy Rusev Day. This is the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast, where we talk about the best pro wrestling in the world. My name is Tommy Stryker. Joining me, as always, is Taco.
What up?
And back in studio this week, Joe has returned.
Finally, I have come back.
So it's good to have everybody back in studio. If you are new to the show, thanks for checking it out. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast, wherever you can rate, review, and subscribe. That would help us out.
iTunes, 5 stars.
Join the conversation
Five star,
on Twitter. I forgot what podcast we were on here. Join the conversation on Twitter at BPW Podcast, Facebook.com/Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. And yeah, we like to accentuate the positives, talk about what we like about pro wrestling, and try to keep the negativity to a minimum. Although it is, after all, a podcast, we will certainly pick our spots to be negative. Certainly,
Need a heel to peek his head every now and then.
Exactly. So, but yeah, we got a lot to talk about this week on Monday Night Raw. We got a championship change. We got a U.S. title tournament on Smackdown.
Aye.
We got a very exciting fatal four-way for the number one contendership to talk about on NXT.
Yes.
And we should mention right off the bat here, it's Wrestle Kingdom week.
Woo!
And
It's also Rusev Day.
it's
Yeah,
also
Rusev Day.
Rusev
Happy
Day.
Rusev Day.
But yes, we spent an hour and a half earlier today recording Strong Honor, where we do a full preview of Wrestle Kingdom, preview predictions, talk a little bit of Ring of Honor TV as well as some Young Lions talk. But the focus, obviously, the big news, Wrestle Kingdom right around the corner. By the time we record next week's show, Wrestle Kingdom will pretty much already have happened. So you get the full preview over on Strong Honor. So check that out on the feed for this show, as well as Strong Honor's own feed. You can find wherever you get your podcasts. So check that out for
Good
sure.
episode, too.
And yeah, it's a good entry level too if you're curious about New Japan, not sure if you want to get into Wrestle Kingdom yet, not sure on all the storylines. We kind of get you caught up on all of that going into the event. So even if you're new to New Japan, you can get caught up and get interested in all of the goings on the big show coming up next week on January 4th. But we got a lot to talk about this week, so let's get right into
What
it.
a week it's been. So much to talk about.
Let's talk some news.
Wrestling news.
We have quite a bit of news for you.
So not a ton news-wise to touch on this week, but I did want to talk about, well, first of all, Brian Kendrick got a busted nose and a busted orbital from that. Hideo Itami laid that GTS in, brother. So now a lot of people on the internet are speculating, is the GTS going to be banned? Is Hideo Itami going to be allowed to do it anymore? Which would be unfortunate because it's pretty much the only thing that has the guy over at this point is the GTS. But your thoughts on...
We debuted or used the submission move on 205 that night.
Yep.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. Has there been x-rays or anything released?
Nothing released, but the doctors have said he's not going to require surgery. It's going to heal on its own, but he'll probably be out for
Because a little part of me
month
was
or
like,
two.
he's hyping up the GTS like a motherfucker.
So
and then does
you're saying
this,
it could be a work.
A little part of me thinks it is.
Certainly a possibility.
And it's a... I don't want to say a good way of like face or heel change. That's ignore that. But but it's just that he's been really hyping it up, and so it's caused some controversy behind the move right now because there's in the average WWE viewer fan, their eyes, the GTS is CM Punk's move, so he's taking it from there. So there's that controversy. So you might as well surround controversy around the move, just in a different way, like make it recognized, because that's going to be one way that the audience can be like, oh shit, that is his move.
Right. Also, last week we kind of forgot to talk about the XFL rumors going around with Vince McMahon selling $100 million worth of WWE stock. Joe, you seem particularly excited.
I watched almost every game I could of the XFL. I don't care how bad it was. It had good concepts. Let's be honest. It had some good concepts, but the overall visual of the product at the high school, fields that they were playing on. I mean, it just didn't look good. But
well, and they have the blackouts and everything, and the technical issues. You have Vince McMahon coming on the field and doing a 20-minute talking segment before the first game. You have interviewers going into the cheerleaders' locker rooms as a blatant ratings draw. And then the biggest issue in my mind with what went wrong with the XFL, was the lack of an ability to have an entertaining offense because of the lack of rules on the defensive players. So offenses were stifled. They were boring, awful games, which to me was the number one problem with the XFL. But before I shit on it anymore, Joe, do you have any more positives?
I really don't have anything positive.
I'm sorry to shit on your dreams and bring all the negativity.
Okay. It's a pipe dream. It was a pipe dream, anyways. And let's be honest, I really hope he's just selling some stock.
I'm interested in the real talks of him and the Carolina Panthers that are going on. That's what I'm interested in, because it's a known fact that he likes that area. Obviously, that's where Connecticut's where the headquarters is based out of. So it makes sense for him to invest in the Panthers a little bit, and
Carolina.
It's just right there. So it's just like I kind of want.
So it's within several states, Joe.
It's just a skip away, though. I mean, you talk about New York, you talk about Pennsylvania. That whole everything over there is just not even a day drive away.
Dude, I totally just drove through the Northeast. I am guaranteeing you're wrong.
So that's what I'm more intrigued is Vince McMahon going to go into the NFL route a little bit and kind of relinquish WWE or even sell WWE?
Okay. That's
not happening.
Everybody's got to calm down here. $100,000 is a drop in the bucket. This was
nothing.
This was
just because the stocks are up right now.
This was like 3%. And then second of all, okay, if he wants to start another XFL, he's been, there's the new Alpha Entertainment that he's funding this thing with or whatever. Mm-hmm. They're trademarking XFL all over again, whatever, fine. That's where all this speculation comes from. But I mean, okay, hold on. $100 million sounds like a lot of money. I talked about this on Twitter. You want to buy an NHL team? You're going to need about $500 million. Mm-hmm. You want to buy the average NFL team? You're talking $2 billion. So $100 million isn't even, and obviously this isn't necessarily what Vince McMahon is trying to do. I like the speculation of investing in an NFL team, but $100 million isn't even going to get you close to buying any kind of significant ownership in an NFL team.
No,
but I mean, it'll get him a piece of the pie for sure.
Yeah.
So it was interesting when it came up, but all of the people going crazy about, is he selling the WWE? Yeah. Oh my God, is he gonna start a new football league that'll rival the NFL? Come on, calm down.
He's not dumb. He's not going to relinquish the rights to the name XFL for somebody else for Impact to pick up and do whatever the fuck they want with XFL.
What else?
It's just he's not that dumb, but I know. I just want to see him drift away a little bit and concentrate on football.
Well, that'd be nice to free open the creative gates for some other people like Triple H, but I'm not holding my breath for anything like that happening. Just a couple other quick news items I wanted to touch on here. We didn't get a chance to talk about this, the MLW Never Say Never event that was for free on YouTube. This is also kind of a couple of weeks old, but we didn't really talk about it. Last week on the show, we talked about a couple other indie things in the news segment, talked about Evolve 96, which I screwed up a couple of things when we were talking about that I wanted to correct. I was correct on Matt Riddle versus Fred Yehi in the no rope break match, but it wasn't Keith Lee versus Zack Sabre. It was Keith Lee versus Walter for the WWN Live title.
Walter.
And the main event was Zack Sabre Jr. versus DJZ. So again, a good Evolve show. But I talked about the production values of that Evolve show. But this MLW show that's on YouTube, this one also had Matt Riddle in the opener versus Filthy Tom Lawler, also from a little bit of UFC fame. Nothing, an interesting match, but nothing like crazy to go off
I had
about.
no idea he was in wrestling now.
Oh yeah, he's been doing pro wrestling off and on for quite a bit. So that was on the show. Main event of the show was Shane Strickland and teaming up with John Morrison versus Jimmy Havoc and Darby Allin in a no DQ tag match. So I didn't get a chance to see that whole show, but it was really cool because again, indie show, but really good production values, good high def, good announcers. Holy shit, Tony Schiavone and and the former Rich Brennan from WWE.
How did Schiavone sound? Because he sounded really bad in those commercials for Starrcade, was it? Like it sounded so raspy compared to what Schiavone sounded.
To me, he sounded like Tony Schiavone, but older. So it was the same voice, and it still had that same gravitas that he had, in WCW or whatever.
Oh, I love me some Tony Schiavone.
Oh yeah, so it was just cool hearing him calling wrestling again.
Sure.
And with the former Rich, I want to fuck up his name here, Rich Bocchini, I think is how you say his name, the former Rich Brennan, teaming up with him on commentary, I thought was cool. So
and let's be honest, the retro thing is in. Joe Cola and what is it, Steakums, all these things that are making comebacks.
What is that Steakums thing you guys keep talking about on
Big Beef is holding them down, dude.
I don't even know what Steakums is. Am I an idiot in all of this? What is?
Yeah, it's your
you are an
frozen
idiot.
Food meat section. Like, it's delicious. It's
100%
It's
beef.
perfect to celebrate on Rusev Day.
I'll take your word for it, I guess. All right. Other Evolve stuff real quick. Your Evolve 99
what
coming.
is Steakums?
I don't know.
Amateur hour.
I never had Steakums before. I'm sorry.
Pre-sliced meat.
You've never lived.
I guess not. That's my problem, I guess. Evolve 99 coming up January 14th is going to feature a non-title dream match, they're calling it. Zack Sabre Jr. versus the aforementioned Walter. So,
Damn.
if you're not familiar with Walter, he's this giant... not German, but what did they call him? Where is
Australian,
he
I
from?
thought?
Austrian, yes. This giant Austrian, hard-hitting, slap you in the chest, slap you in the
I-
face.
Looking motherfucker.
Upon first glance, would have been all like, I'm going to go grab another beer. No, watch this dude.
Yeah, right,
Watch
exactly.
He looks like the guy that was really good on the offensive line of a high school football team.
There you go.
Your mom?
Except he's Austrian, and the back of his trunks say "Ring Kampf." So there's that. All right, let's get into the rest of it. Let's talk some Monday Night Raw.
Change the subject. Monday Night Raw.
So for a typical holiday Monday Night Raw, the first ever live on Christmas Monday Night Raw, I was kind of looking at, I was thinking it wouldn't be a very interesting Raw, thinking it would be kind of skippable or whatever, but whoops, hang on a second.
They made it interesting.
Intro music playing there.
But yeah, Balor and Hawkins, awesome. Fucking A, man. Like,
Well, no, but okay. So, the return of John Cena. You have the big Intercontinental Championship match with Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe.
yeah, no, I totally kind of wrote this episode of Raw off and came back and watched the next day, and I was like, fuck,
Yeah.
I wish I would have watched this live. Like,
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, started off with the return of John Cena, Elias interrupting him because he's been tired of getting interrupted, and then we had the match between John Cena and Elias.
And we also found out what WWE really stands for.
Yes, walk with Elias. Of course. This match was John Cena sure took a lot of Elias offense in this match. I didn't think much of the match itself. It was Elias being dominating rather, and then John Cena doing a comeback and hitting the AA and getting the very predictable John Cena win.
It's good though. It's showing off the new talent out there. Like, I really need to go and listen to that Stone Cold podcast with him, but it sounded like this dude was fucking hustling, kept going to the Performance Center, getting denied, hustling, driving to the Performance Center, getting denied. Like, on a regular basis. And finally, you hustle. That's what you do in this business.
Yeah.
And look where he is right now. And yeah, I'm glad he's getting time. I'm glad he's getting matches with Finn Balor and John Cena and fucking a good one with Roman Reigns last week. So I like that they're doing this with the talent. And like Joe, you're not big on the squash matches, and I kind of like seeing this where he's kind of a joke act, but he's not. He gets one of the biggest pops, cheer, or boos of the night, regardless of what he's doing. And I'd rather kind of see this kind of situation instead of him coming out and squashing Hawkins every night.
Well, regarding Joe's disapproval for squash matches, this Monday Night Raw was probably the poster child of unsatisfying squash matches. Because this opening match was Elias basically squashing Cena until he came back.
It was a long match, though.
Again, a long match, decent, but a long match doesn't necessarily equal good match. But
yeah.
Well, and I feel like what they're doing with Elias is what they should have did with Jinder. Instead of just tossing Jinder into this number one contender,
building him up a bit,
build him up. He's taking losses from big names, like Taco said, Finn Balor, John Cena, all these guys. Sooner or later, he's got to get a win, right?
Right. I like the setup for this match with kind of just the opening stuff with Cena coming out, giving the new shirt to the kid in the audience. Mm-hmm. That was cool. The bit where Elias is singing and insulting the crowd, and John Cena is kind of coaching him up. No, don't insult the crowd. It kind of gave me this odd hope for an Elias babyface turn. Where, you know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, this could happen. This might be kind of cool. The crowd's kind of hot for Elias, and then he shits all over us again. So,
and the thing too with Elias though, it's not really about wins or losses with him right now. It's kind of just showing him off, and the guy's comfortable in the ring. Clearly, for how young buck of he is, doing this.
What'd you guys think of him bringing back the Del Rio corner Tree of Woe double stomp?
Yeah.
We touched on Hideo Itami and Brian Kendrick. Hideo Itami getting the win with that GTS and busting up his face. Hitami still thinks he's a heel. He's screaming, "Show me respect" at the top of his lungs at different points throughout the match. So someone should probably get a note to Hideo that he's supposed to be a babyface now.
On that subject, with Taco mentioned it earlier, but with Brian Kendrick, he's not really doing much. Not saying that they might not have something for him now, but this is a good way to write him off for a few weeks and bring him back again. Maybe babyface, maybe he still is a heel, but it gives him time to work. And maybe he has a nagging injury. Since he's been working since the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah, Hitami's got some. Hideo Itami. He's got some work to do in my book. I want to see positive things from him, but there's just not a lot there for me right now.
No.
And 205 Live is going to be a tough spot to get over with me.
I think the thing with Hideo is just he went into NXT thinking the world of himself, and just that wasn't the case, and injury.
Well, he was hot coming in, but
he
injuries.
was, but there wasn't really much there either at the beginning. He had his run, but I wouldn't really say he was over with the crowd like a Finn Balor was even. Right. And then that injury just kind of, and then fucking Kevin Owens came in too, and that heat was going on to him. Yep. So all that shit with Hideo was just unfortunate. Now, honestly, I really hope this is a work, this Brian Kendrick injury, because it's just it's getting more attention on him. It's
and that
making
would
that
help
move look
get
brutal.
Him over. Yeah.
It like I said, it adds that controversy over that move that we kind of need to get that out of the fucking way.
This was the Christmas episode, and so we had the Miz Taraj singing to people in the back throughout the show, and then taking on Braun Strowman reluctantly later in the show.
Joy to the world, Miz is awesome. Let Miz step in his ring. We miss the Miz a lot. He will return soon. And Dallas and Axel sing. And Dallas and Axel sing. Oh, Dallas and Curtis Axel sing.
People loved it. So yeah, I gotta.
The ladies could barely keep their faces straight. That was gold, man.
So, yeah, I got a kick out of them. They got the shit beat out of them by Braun Strowman later in the show. That was some fun holiday cheer for everybody. Absolution took on the Bayley, Mickie James, and Sasha Banks team. Absolution win with the Rampage. Paige getting the win over Bayley with the Rampage. I thought Sonya Deville had some nice hard hits in the match. Sonya Deville really has been getting over with me more and more lately, especially these last couple of weeks in the Absolution deal. And we'll talk about the match that she had this week on NXT later with Ember Moon. But
one thing with Sonya Deville I like is the fact that you can tell the difference between her, honestly, her mic work and say like a Mandy Rose or a Liv Morgan. Like that, I feel like she is better on the mic as well as getting better in the ring. It's making that difference. It's separating her from those standard girls.
Standing out, yeah. But Taco, I think she's still got a ways to go to get over with you.
I like her. She definitely improved in the last month, maybe 2 months tops for me. It's just I get it, the MMA thing. I totally get it. But just take off the gloves. Like, she fought a couple weeks ago without the gloves, and she looked awesome. It's just they look too big and look silly on her, and I just don't like the air punching, the MMA air punching thing. Like, Shayna Baszler doesn't even do that. She was more of a legit MMA fighter than you were. Like, stop it, please. Like,
I don't mind the air punching, but I can identify with a pet peeve.
It to me, it just looks like Baron Corbin rocking out with his like horn up kind of thing.
Oh, that's a different level of shitty.
It just looks so fucking silly to me. Like,
moving along here, I really enjoyed the interview segment with Renee Young interviewing Samoa Joe about Samoa Joe injuring Dean Ambrose.
Oh, God, dude, it's so good.
That was so great and awkward, and Samoa Joe just like milking it up. Like, yeah, I wanted to send him home to be with his family for the holidays, and here we are on fucking Christmas, and Renee's there interviewing the guy that, kayfabe beat the shit out of her husband. So I just really enjoyed that entire bit. Kane versus Heath Slater. This was just an effort to get
instant classic.
Get Kane over. I think we forgot to talk about the fact that Heath Slater and Rhino had their little match last week where they lost, and the angle where Kurt Angle comes in and says, "You guys got to toughen up," and so Rhino has taken it upon himself to try to toughen up Heath Slater. Got him this match with Kane. Slater failed to deliver, and then Rhino gets in to try to prove himself against Kane after the match and gets choke slammed himself. But I like this little storyline with Heath Slater. It makes what was basically a squash match, which is again one of Joe's favorite things, but adds a little intrigue to something that's just there to get Kane over. But again, you got this side story going on with Heath Slater.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
All right,
thrilling.
That's some tremendous analysis with that.
I like Heath Slater and I like Rhino, but there's just, what do we do with them? Let's be honest.
Kurt Hawkins versus Finn Balor. Not much to say here. Finn Balor gets the finally clean win with the Sling Blade, the missile dropkick, and the
5.5 stars.
Exactly. Another wonderful squash match from the eyes of Joe. But again, I don't mind a good squash match because, it gets over Finn Balor's finishing sequence. This is what I do. This is how I whoop ass.
And I don't mind it on a holiday show. That's the kind of the thing. Like, and they took the UK show more seriously this year, but like holiday shows, theme shows and stuff, they're gonna happen throughout the year. I don't mind it on that show. You gotta send people home happy every once in a while.
Bray Wyatt said that he's here in Chicago to cut a little promo, and came out to the ring, and there was Matt Hardy. He attacks Bray Wyatt, chases him away, and then he laughs for way too long.
Someone made a good gif of it online. They're like, "This the Bray Hardy." The Matt Hardy Bray Wyatt feud in a nutshell, and it was just Matt Hardy laughing and just Bray Wyatt like looking and kind of looking off to the side awkwardly.
Yes, that Bray Wyatt look where he kind of looked like, what's going on here?
Someone's out crazy Bray Wyatt. It's great.
Yeah, I did it. I very much enjoyed Bray's reaction to it.
I just everything about this makes me happy. Like I love that people are already sick of it. Honestly, these are the people. Well, these are the standard WWE people. They're not. They don't want this. They don't like they saw what happened with Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. You throw in Matt Hardy in this situation, and it's a goddamn clusterfuck to them. They don't know what's going on. They don't understand why they should be watching it or why they even should enjoy it. Whereas we're sitting here enjoying every second of it. It's a guy putting everything into his character.
Are you saying that the internet is screaming about something?
Maybe.
I think that should be the scream soundbite from a couple of weeks ago on SmackDown.
I forgot about that.
The internet, whenever it's the smart fans or whatever, the podcasters like us or whatever, going off and getting prematurely upset about it. The internet's just screaming about some shit.
When you just played like the first time, I was like, what was that scream from? Like, my mind went to Star Wars when R2 gets shot with the laser, and he's like,
Oh, it's sad that I know that.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Where were we here? The Miracle on 34th Street fight. Enzo Gulak and Arya Daivari teaming up against Cedric Alexander, Mustafa Ali, Akira Tozawa. Cedric Alexander wins with the lumbar check over Daivari. Enzo versus Cedric Alexander, the big championship match coming up next week. Any other comments on the Miracle on 34th Street fight?
You always got to have one of those for Christmas time, Raw.
At least it wasn't the food fight that we get for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I could do without it, but it kind of is what it is, I guess.
I don't get it.
Nia and Enzo are under the mistletoe, but they get cock-blocked again. Here comes Alexa Bliss. She has to talk to Nia right away. I am enjoying the are they getting together, aren't they getting together moments with between Enzo and Nia Jax. It is unfortunate that they can only get together when WWE cameras are on once a week. You think with all the other time during the rest of the week that they would find time to either get together and chat or go on a date. But unfortunately, they only get about 30 seconds a week to interact with each other in front of WWE cameras.
They see each other walking in the back all the time, but nope.
I say the same thing every week. She's going to fucking wreck him.
She could wreck me.
I'm looking for, well, not this one, but this
Nia Jax is the greatest female competitor to ever step in the ring.
She's not like most girls. Here we go.
How you doing?
Let's see, Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns. Now we get into the good stuff, right?
There we go.
The Intercontinental Championship match. The setup for this, I thought, was just a little bit wonky. Earlier in the show, Seth Rollins comes into Kurt Angle's office or whatever to kind of make his case, and then here comes fucking piece of shit Jason Jordan, who I love it. He's such a great heel now because he thinks he deserves the world, and Seth Rollins is like, oh fuck you, dude.
You know who his dad is?
Seth Rollins he doesn't even say it, but Seth Rollins beat Jason Jordan last week in a fight to determine who should face Samoa Joe. Then they got forced to tag up anyway, and Seth Rollins won again. Or was it Rollins that won last week, or did Jason Jordan get beat? I forget. Oh no, it was again the DQ finish or whatever, the big schmaz or whatever, the heels just going off on them. So I just love Jason Jordan just being that piece of shit again here, getting involved where he doesn't belong, where he's not worthy of being.
He's like a trust fund baby.
And then talking himself into the tag match, and then Roman Reigns comes in from the other side after the other two walk out, and it's like, oh, okay, so the general manager's playing favor. He's like, yeah, big dog, I saved Samoa Joe for you. Even though Seth Rollins beat my son last week and kind of earned it, you already had the thing going on with Samoa Joe from before, and we got the highlight video from like a month ago, and I know you were off last week, but big dog, we got the Samoa Joe match for you. Am I being a little too snarky here? But I just kind of enjoyed that segment for what it was.
You had to. I mean, with the Dean Ambrose injury, I mean, going into the match a little bit, but I don't like them winning the titles at all. Like, I mean,
how much heat is that?
Like, it's just speaking of just like bad writing, and we've got to fill this in somehow, and it was really disheartening because again, you had a perfectly viable tag team with the tag titles. They could have challenged anybody, and you're just like, no, we got to do this.
Well, Jason Jordan even brought it up. He was like, "Dad, you brought me here to work on my singles career. I'm not in a tag team anymore," kind of shit. And I didn't have too big of an issue with the interaction in the back a little bit. I maybe would have liked a commercial break and then come back to like Roman Reigns like, so is my match still on? Yeah, title's on. Like, cool, peace, bitches. Like, be the cool. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. Might as well jump into that fucking match. Like,
It was
the
a good
odd tag
match.
teams. Like, I don't want to knock, because when you knock them, they always end up being like one of the best tag team combos, like Daniel Bryan and fucking Kane.
Well, and again, I think the end game is to get Jason Jordan over as a heel because of the skullduggery that happened in the match. You know, obviously with Jordan is getting pinned by Sheamus, and Rollins springboards into Cesaro, and that for some reason the ref just stops counting. It felt like the finish actually felt like a fast count here. I've got a couple of different. Well, first of all, Booker T just loves to contradict himself, and he does so in this match when he starts talking. Early in the match, he wants Jason Jordan to jump in the ring and save Seth Rollins from potential near falls. The announcers go on to explain that, well, you can only do that once per match, Booker, because if you do it more than once, you get disqualified. And so, but Booker is he doesn't relent on this idea of coming in to say finally Jason Jordan saves Rollins on the outside of the ring. Booker sings the praises, but then a few moments later, because Jason Jordan also got taken out at ringside, Booker contradicts himself and says, yeah, that was a bad idea.
Here comes Jordan. And now Jason Jordan's going to make Cesaro pay, and Jason Jordan's had enough.
Exactly what I need out of this kid.
And Sheamus from behind, flooring Jordan as well. Tag, he was taken out after he went to the aid of Rollins earlier on.
It was a mistake. I mean, Jason Jordan going in the ring to break the count is one thing. Outside of the ring, come on, Jordan.
No, literally changing his stance several minutes later. So yeah. They win with the side slam cutter thing. Jason Jordan gets the win over Cesaro here. I like I said, I thought it was kind of a fast count. Let me see what you guys think. So I took
I knew he pulled the audio. I
took a near fall from the same referee in the same match. So here, listen to the cadence on the near fall earlier in the match.
Is it enough to win the gold? Hooks the leg on Sheamus and a kick out.
And here is the finish of the match.
Here's the cover. He got it.
It feels just a tad faster. I'm not saying drastic.
Watching it, I did feel like it was a fast count. I was waiting for something, and then I was like, "Oh no, it's okay." And then I continued on. So that's good. You brought that up.
One more time. Here's the false finish.
Is it enough to win the gold? Hooks the leg on Sheamus and a kick out.
And the finish.
Here's the cover.
It felt just a little bit faster.
It wasn't no Daniel Bryan favorite.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. But I think as a heel going over in this weird situation like this, we're looking for something, you know.
This is
even if it's not there.
I brought it up on Strong Honor, the Long Con, and how like Naito's story's been going on for 4 years maybe. And people are bitching about the Bar and Rollins and Ambrose feuding for as long as they have been, you know. I don't mind that. I want to see where this is going, and then kind of looking at Jason Jordan's story and him coming to Raw and where he's at right now. It's like, yeah, he's slowly building to this little fucking like I said, trust fund baby bitch. Like it's coming together, and it's like, I don't like him, but that's why I like him at the moment, because he's becoming that legit heel with me.
Well, and I like the idea of him walking out on Rollins at some point down the line, just leaving him to to the Wolves or whoever they'd be facing, the Bar or somebody else.
And one thing I noticed this week too from Jason Jordan, like the stuff in the back, and granted he wasn't given a lot of lines to recite or anything like that, but I thought he came across a lot more confident, a lot more cocky, and just more. His character felt more authentic to me.
Totally.
So Jason Jordan definitely coming along, making improvements in that
the dads
area.
Don't feel as awkward anymore. It really started to feel like, Dad, come on. Like,
let's go back and talk a little bit about the Samoa Joe Roman Reigns match. I thought this was really good, a nice back and forth. It wasn't boring early on. There wasn't a bunch of boring chin locks and rest holds and stuff. They really kept the action and the pace up well enough early in the match. Roman escapes a late coquina clutch in the match. He sells his left arm after Samoa Joe hits a big dive to the floor. And then the finish of the match was Reigns just beating down Samoa Joe in the corner, for violating the 5-count rule in the corner, so we get another disqualification. We've been doing a lot of disqualification finishes on Raw as of late, which is, it's kind of getting old, but I don't mind it good. This kind of continues on the storyline, and I kind of like the aggressiveness of Roman Reigns here in the match, because the idea is him getting the revenge for Ambrose for the injury to Ambrose. So I didn't necessarily mind it here, even though they've been doing a lot of these DQ 5-count violation style finishes here. And then I like the continued beatdown of Samoa Joe after the bell, after the match.
Yeah, I mean, you're already disqualified.
And he gets the stairs, and he's throwing him into throwing the stairs into his shoulder and stuff like that. So
big dog.
And like I said, I liked Roman's selling in the match as well, selling his arm after Joe went after that as well. So any other thoughts on that great Intercontinental title match out of nowhere from Monday Night Raw?
I'm just excited to see these two again, like you said, feud a little bit farther, just because I think Joe is one of the few people that just brings it out of Roman. I don't believe in my mind that Roman brings it every night. I think he brings it for certain people that are on his level.
Sure.
And Samoa Joe's honestly above his level, so he's just going all out. So
Well, you're exactly right.
I want to see him fight forever.
I think just this last year alone, looking at looking at Clinton Dix, looking at Roman Reigns, that it's just been such a big confidence and ego boost in the positive direction for his career and his ring work and wise. Like you just, talking positive about Roman Reigns right now makes me really want to go back to our first episode of this year and kind of see what we were saying about Roman Reigns at the time. That would be kind of interesting, because it's like, this Shield thing is just like been a complete 360 for Reigns, and you can even before that a little bit too. He's just kind of, it looks comfortable. You're not just I'm a dead log in the ring, just floating around. I'm the best.
I think a year ago, Joe was wondering if Roman was a cruiserweight.
Weird question. So. Is Jinder Mahal a cruiserweight?
It was Jinder Mahal. My bad.
Yeah.
So, before we wrap up the Raw talk, it is time for this week's "What the fuck is Booker T talking about on commentary?" segment.
And that's the thing. How long can you go in this ring? That's the question. The song about it back in the day, bass. How long can you go?
Ashamed that was even referenced in 2017, Booker.
Look at Elias right now. I mean, his confidence seemed to be dwindling the longer that, and we know John Cena, he could go all night long.
Booker, I don't know what match you're watching right now. Elias is beating the crap out of John Cena, convincing.
Kurt Hawkins before the Barry Horowitz of the world, the Dusty Wolfs of the world. Dusty Wolfs. Those guys are good hands. Maybe you need to network. How did they get a win? How did they break through? That's what I mean.
They did.
Well, a little southpaw right hand jabs. They don't look like a whole lot, but over a period of time, trust me, it throws off your equilibrium.
Booker, what the hell is a southpaw right hand jab?
What the hell is a southpaw right hand jab?
That's a good one.
No.
Yeah, that's God, I love Booker. He's a keeper. God damn it! Like, I feel like he just knows now. He's like, I gotta go free range now, dog.
I honestly thought he was trolling us on a couple of things that he said in the really southpaw right hand jab. What are you thinking? Let's get into Smackdown, shall we?
The subject: Smackdown Live.
I can be a superhero. I'm going to make this a tag team match. Sigma.
We don't deserve that intro anymore.
Well, we're gonna have to change that up and either go back to the old one, or maybe it might be time to update some of these sounders. We've had them for about a year or so now, or more than that actually. So might be time to do some updating. I guess I got some work to do post Wrestle Kingdom to get some new sounders out there. But yeah, we got to get the Zigman out of there because he's gone. He might be showing up at the New Japan Rumble on Wrestle Kingdom. Certainly, that's what Nakamura is putting out there. That Dolph Ziggler is on his way to New Japan. Daniel Bryan says that that Dolph Ziggler has vacated the U.S. title, and we're going to have a tournament to determine the new United States champion. I like the idea of doing a tournament. Apparently, it's just an 8-man tournament, so we're halfway there. But I do like a good tournament. Obviously, we've talked about tournaments on this show and how we like to do predictions and bracketology and all of that. That's a lot of fun. We didn't get a chance to do that here. We had the tournament announcement, and then a few minutes later, we're doing tournament matches. So I kind of would have liked if they'd have milked it out a little bit and gave us some brackets so we had a week to speculate. We could do some predictions and have a little bit of fun, but that's probably just
what
us.
WWE says to that? Fuck you.
Well, WWE has this awful mentality that tournaments don't draw because they try to do those couple of WrestleManias where it was, the whole WrestleMania was a tournament or whatever, those Trump Plaza WrestleManias back in the day. And it's hard to draw, with a one-day tournament because you can't promote a main event. You don't know what's going to happen. But if you book a tournament out over time and, you know what the main event is a week or two going into it, then you can promote it. So that's why I like a tournament that's drawn out. I like a G1 Climax. I like a Best of the Super Juniors. But obviously, I'm a New Japan guy. So there's that. So there's that
obviously.
issue. Anyway, I like the tournament idea. All the tag teams come out and demand they make their case to be the next number one contender for the tag team championships, which I also liked. Everybody kind of got a little bit of word in there.
Are we talking about the U.S. title?
No, first.
Get in there, Taco.
Well, the beginning of the show, Daniel Bryan says we're going to have a U.S. title tournament, but then tag teams come out and make their case for the tag team championships, which was, it's your classic Smackdown moment.
Holla.
So, because he makes it
I'm going to make this a tag team match.
So it's nothing new. Everybody comes out. We're going to make a 3-way to determine the number one contender, which was fun. I enjoyed this. I
like how they're doing these multi-man tag matches where it's not just two guys in the ring and tag whomever the fuck you want for the fuckery tag-ins. Like, I like that it's actually like a triple threat or a fatal 4-way match going on in the ring, and you can tag your partner only. Like, I like that. It keeps like better flow, and you still get those fuckery spots, but when you're in your corner.
To me, being the tournament dork I just talked about, Daniel Bryan just got done talking about a U.S. title tournament, and then you got 3 tag teams coming out making their case for the tag team championship match. Why not make another tournament is what I'm over here thinking. But again, it was I liked the match. Everybody got over in the match, and I like
the pop for Rusev and
oh my god, Rusev
English too.
Rusev and English were like super over.
People are allowing him to sing.
It's Rusev Day!
Right, yeah. Aiden being allowed to sing to the crowd was quite the spectacle. Just amazing how much they just letting kind of Rusev do his thing gets over it. Like it's obnoxious, but it's fun.
It's Rusev.
Yeah,
I like to. I don't know why I fucking popped so hard for it, but like. New Day with their fucking pancakes. Like, there was a good 30 seconds where the camera was just on them and Kofi's dancing, throwing pancakes in the crowd. It's like, is this going to stop? No, it's not. Like,
in the match, Gable hit some very impressive German suplexes. Good action again in this match. The big hot tag to Rusev. Everybody saves everyone from impending doom in the match. Rusev hit that double accolade on a couple of different guys.
The
Stackolade. I love that. But then, Chad Gable and
Benjamin's knees, man. Like, he's deadly with them.
Yeah. Well, I like Chad Gable and old Jason Jordan getting the win here. In the match again, and then Usos on commentary during the match. Usos just kill it on commentary these days. So
I want to see Usos and Street Profits and New Day partying for New Year's.
That could be a lot of fun. I like Gable and Benjamin getting the Shelton. Benjamin. I like them getting the win. I thought they had, with them beating the Usos last week straight up and then winning the 3-way here. I like that story. We can go into the Royal Rumble or
that's why I was kind of like, there's no argument about them being number one contenders. They pinned the Usos last week. They won.
Yeah, I think their title opportunities next week too.
I think you're right. Yeah, but you are right, Taco. But everybody else also had a valid argument. Like I forget what they were now, but like Rusev and Aiden English came out and said something to the effect of, "Well, we pinned the champions the week before," or something like that.
Well, they beat New Day.
And then the New Day said, well, nobody beat us at the thing or something. Everybody had a valid excuse to be involved in it in one way or another. So I did like that aspect of it. We had Breezango versus the Bludgeon Brothers again. Ascension is now actively lobbying for the Breezango to get continued matches up against the Bludgeon Brothers.
Hey, they came out and saved them.
and then they said, you know what? We're gonna have them challenge again one more time, one more match. At some point, is Breezango going to defeat the Bludgeon Brothers, or will they just continue to get their asses handed to them? It seems. I
want Breezango to win. I just really don't care about this Bludgeon Brothers gimmick.
It really feels like we're building to a Breezango Ascension feud out of this thing, probably because the Ascension so badly want best friends out of this, and best friends always become enemies on WWE TV, so it feels like that's the direction we're going. I really have an issue with the women's match on this show. We had Ruby Riott versus Naomi. Now, these are two of essentially your top stars on NXT, on SmackDown. You know, Naomi had that title run last year. She's the first entrant for the Women's Royal Rumble, declared herself for that. And then you got Ruby Riott coming in, part of the Riott squad. So obviously they're giving her a big push. And so these guys go out there, they have this really quick match. Ruby Riott wins with the Riott kick, and then the Riott squad come out and beat down everybody. Then Charlotte comes out and does a run-in. They beat down on her. Then Carmella, Tamina, Natalia, and Lana, of all people, come running out, and they finally scare off the Riott squad. But again, you had a long match for Bobby Roode and Baron Corbin in the U.S. title tournament. You had a long match for Jinder Mahal and Ty Dillinger.
Commercial-free hour.
Yeah, the commercial-free hour, and this match was really fucking short. We'll get to those U.S. title the U.S. tournament matches, and yeah, you can make an argument they're tournament matches for a big prize. Give them some time here, but come on, why can't this women's match should have been given a lot more time than it was? It just felt like a throwaway segment.
I fast forwarded and skipped it on accident. Rewound. I was like, oh, that's it. Keep fast forwarding.
It was too quick. It was in a. It felt throwaway. Like, let's get all the women on this one quick segment. We'll get them all out there, and it'll be a preview for the Women's Royal Rumble. And it was just like, I don't know. I get the argument that Riott gets a quick win over an established star, Naomi. I get that. And it gets over her finisher, sure. But I would argue if you want to get over Riott's finisher and all of that, just have her squash somebody that's not a star. And then have her beat up somebody who's not a star with the Riott squad
at least have
after the match. And then everybody can come running out. But to have Riott to beat Naomi quickly like that, I thought downplayed Naomi and just made the whole division.
Like, I'd rather have that competitive match like Asuka and Emma put on. Like that screams more to me.
So, getting right to the U.S. title tournament, Bobby Roode versus Baron Corbin. Roode wins with a schoolboy roll-up after Corbin dominates pretty much the entire match. It was a sunset counter to a chokeslam that Baron Corbin was going for. But again, they gave this match a lot of time. Baron Corbin is just dominating and dominating and dominating. And then Bobby Roode basically gets a slip on the banana peel win. If you're going to do a slip on the banana peel win, I mean, why can't that be a little bit shorter and give some more time to the women's match? Same thing with, I'm being awfully negative here, but I'm just saying. Same with Jinder Mahal and Ty Dillinger. Boy, the shine really has come off Ty Dillinger in the last year. Remember last year building up to the Royal Rumble? Everybody was so excited. Number 10 coming in.
I was pumped.
And Joe, you were one of the biggest fans of Ty Dillinger coming.
I was
coming
down.
Out
I wanted something, but they've just he's done nothing, and like Tacos mentioned, there's just no significant match you can pick out from any of his appearances.
There's nothing there from the guy though. Like, he is a good wrestler, but like I say every fucking week, like, to me when I hear Perfect 10, I think of the fucking sports entertainers on NXT.
Yeah.
Like, those guys scream Perfect 10 to me. When I see Ty Dillinger, I kind of laugh at his hair and his tattoo and his fucking David Bowie wannabe getup. Like, what are you coming across to me? Like, I look at Sami Zayn, awesome. I look at a fucking punk rock ska dude, like, who wants to, like, who's a wrestler. I look at AJ Styles, I see a fucking professional wrestler. I look at Ty Dillinger, I just see someone fucking flashing 10 signs doing fucking spins in the ring. Like, there's just no excitement. The most excitement he does is his intro, and it's just, I don't want to, like, I hate knocking on the dude. I mean, fucking, he blocked me on Twitter for having an opinion. You know, it's just like, the dude has talent. He is talented. It's just, this whole Perfect 10 gimmick is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen. I've never been on board with it. I don't get it. It's just, the crowd was behind it because they want to scream. That's all the fucking WWE crowds do. I mean, I'm that guy when I go to live
the
events.
character would work so much better in a heel form, too, just because he's been babyface.
It's a heel gimmick.
Like, it is
The
straight
Miz
up
would be a
heel.
perfect 10 to me. He's doing that shit. Like,
that's exactly. I think a heel turn could do something for him, but I think they've waited too long. Like you said, there's no shine left on him. There's not, and I hate saying that. I want to see him do something, get any kind of credible feud going with anybody.
I hate
him and AJ. That's probably the best example you can get of a match with him. The second time, obviously. The first time, I think he squashed him in like 30 seconds.
All right, let's move on. We're being incredibly sour.
Don't you dare be sour!
I just hope the positive for the dude, and it's just, I really hope he can just redo his image, because it's not working.
Randy Orton and Nakamura have entered the men's Royal Rumble, so their first couple of entrants there. And then finally the main event, AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens. This had a little bit of controversy, of course, set up by the whole tension between Shane and Daniel Bryan came into play here. Again, Shane could just fire these guys if he wants to, if he really wants to that bad. So that's the looming thing hanging over this whole storyline, of course. But again, I like this match. This was a very good match here. I talk about earlier in the show when Shane confronts Daniel Bryan, and it's Shane who's coming across as irrational, and Daniel Bryan is saying all of the right things, saying, "Yeah, I did it. I'm doing it because of this and this and this, and everything I'm doing is justified and makes perfect sense. And you're the one that's being an irrational piece of crap and acting like the bad parts of Vince McMahon." So,
well, I love too that like his points were just short, sweet, to the point. Like, yes. Shane McMahon was just all like, why are you putting these two in the main event? Blah, blah, blah. These fucking reasons. I'm going off. Blah, 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 blah. The McMahon thing. And Daniel Bryan's just like, they had a great feud, and this would be a great way to end SmackDown.
And then there was that. And then Shane just stares off into the distance for a while. He's like, okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, okay. and then it's silent and awkward some more.
So you want to prove McMahon wrong.
So, yeah, the match, Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles. Great action, back and forth. Again, they put on a hell of a show. The finish was a bit odd with KO. I shouldn't say odd. It was disappointing, I thought, in my opinion. I like the intrigue of Kevin Owens winning, but with the schoolboy, with the shenanigans, it was Shane ejecting Sammy after Sammy attempts distracting the referee from the near fall or whatever.
Distraction. Too many distractions.
He's on Raw.
So Shane comes in, tries to eject Sami Zayn. The referee is paying attention to what's going on. AJ rolls up Kevin Owens, but the referee isn't there. And then Kevin Owens gets the schoolboy roll up on AJ, getting the fluky, distracty kind of finish.
I didn't mind the finish on there because it tells that story of, Shane, keep your fucking nose out, like you're fucking shit up.
Yeah, and that's the idea, obviously. Yeah,
and it came across, and I wish we had a better feud to look back on between the two over the United States Championship. But I don't know, this match is kind of like what all those matches should have been.
Yeah, that's interesting. Cause there were a couple of duds in there.
Unfortunately, like every showing was just like, what the fuck are you guys like? I think we expected too much out of them. And
it's funny because these are these holiday week episodes where traditionally the creative doesn't care, but some of these matches were really fucking good. Makes you think maybe when the producers are a little more hands off and just let these guys, fuck it, it's holiday week, go do what you want, and then they put on these fucking awesome matches.
Going back to the Jinder and Ty Dillinger match, I was stoked for that though. I was like, oh, awesome! Like I want to see Jinder in the title picture. I want to see Dillinger in it too, but. There's some interesting matchups going on with that too, so I'm excited to see what's coming on next week. To continue it on, and like Dan and Brian said it best. This is just they had a okay feud earlier in the year, but we know they could put on a good show, and what better way to end your fucking programming for the WWE week like with those two? So they hit the nail on the head.
Before we move on from SmackDown, I have to go back to the Rusev Day talk from the beginning of the SmackDown segment because I forgot to play. Everybody knows what the day after Christmas is. It's Tommy Stryker's birthday.
Woo-hoo! It's also Rusev.
You all know what day comes right after Christmas.
Tommy Stryker's birthday.
Boxing Day.
Well, that too.
No, you fool! It's Rusev Day!
So I had to get that in. I forgot to play that earlier when we were talking about that.
Yeah, I had to wish you a happy Rusev Day for your birthday.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's finally change the subject and let's get into this week's NXT.
Change the subject.
NXT.
So they've done a really good job building up to this episode over the last few weeks. The fatal four-way to determine the number one contender for the NXT Championship defended Royal Rumble weekend. It'll be Andrade, Cien, Almas versus the winner of the four-way. We'll get into that here shortly. I really enjoyed that match, and there's a lot of great stories coming out of that match. But it started off this week, Street Profits taking on the, I didn't know what their names were, but I noted them as the Dirt Road Debtors, taking on the Street Profits of all people. Street Profits win with a frog splash, and after the match, they say they're coming for the tag titles in 2018. So they've done a good job building up the Street Profits with some wins here. Nice big frog splash from Ha Ha Clinton Dix to get the win there.
What a week it's been.
What was that, Joe?
Montez Ford,
yes, against Clinton Dix. I think we'll see. I think it'll be an interesting 2018 for the
There's a
Street
lot
Profits.
of tag teams. I know we'll see a couple probably move up, like we say, whatever, Royal Rumble or after WrestleMania weekend, but like there's just a lot of good tag teams building up. I mean, you know Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, they're going to build up their thing.
1 and 2. Well, and with all the speculation of new talent coming in, like War Machine coming from New Japan and Ring of Honor, Ricochet coming in, but again, going back to the War Machine speculation, that's another tag team added to the mix. So a lot of people are speculating, are the Authors of Pain moving up soon? I would argue it feels a little too soon for them.
I would pull Sanity up before I'd pull off.
Definitely, I would too. I think we need to see more from Authors of Pain.
I would like to see Authors of Pain maybe like right after Mania. Like I don't know, they've done enough in the short amount of time that I think they need to establish themselves on a bigger ground now. They kind of came and conquered the NXT. Just putting on the championships them on the point like after this makes no sense to me. Like they can kind of backburner them, maybe 1 or 2 more big matches, and then.
We did get that promo from Ellering on this week's show, though, talking about the Authors of Pain and putting Undisputed Era on notice, who just won Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly just won the championships last week from Sanity. So kind of they're already throwing their name back into the ringer for a championship opportunity. So I personally just don't feel like it's time for them to go up yet. They're great at what they do, but they've been limited on what they've shown in the ring. They've done their power power stuff. They've done their super colliders, and they've improved, but I want to see more. And I want to see them do something on the mic. It's been all Paul Ellering talking up to this point.
They're just going to be those guys that need that, though. Some guys need a mouthpiece.
I do agree with that. I do like that they just kind of speak in tongues, and Paul Ellering speaks for them. But that's a skill set that they're going to want to see maybe on the main roster level. So they might need to try to do something with that on the NXT level. So, but who knows? They could just keep them the way they are too, and I think it would get over. I think they would definitely get over.
I'm not saying bring them in February, throw them in the main title picture, but
no, and I don't think
I'd like to see like them and Revival feuding on Raw, because Revival needs a good fucking feud. They need momentum back on their case, otherwise they're gonna be on superstar hell for the next year.
And again, I don't think they're gonna bring up any teams, any talent between now and WrestleMania.
No.
We're basically, with the Royal Rumble a couple of weeks away now, we are basically in WrestleMania season. It's already going to be a loaded WrestleMania card. I could see them doing another, superstars shakeup the week or two after WrestleMania, just like they did last year, and doing something there. But I don't see anything coming up between now and then.
Even bringing up Ty Dillinger with last year and him doing the Rumble, we didn't see him again until after WrestleMania.
Right,
it was a one-off appearance. So, we may see a couple people randomly in the Rumble or make surprise appearances, but nobody's staying until, after WrestleMania.
This is the Rumble. I feel like they should have debuted him with the 10 stuff. Like, I
wait another year.
I feel like he should have been in NXT this whole year, going with the Gargano and the Blacks and fucking
he
Adam Cole.
He never had a solidified win even in NXT.
Not even a legit feud. Like,
that's if we're getting back to Ty, but
I hate to dog on the guy. I really do.
Right at this point, it feels like basically another Kurt Hawkins kind of gimmick. So, unfortunately, he had all that steam, and you could say that they mishandled it, but they gave him opportunities to speak. But I think he relied too much on the scripting and didn't. Maybe he just doesn't have those instincts too. Certainly, there's a reason why the guy was down at NXT for a really long time, and it took him a long time to just find a gimmick that got over.
I think it's just the 10 thing.
Well, and that's it. He got over with the 10 thing at NXT, and that's really all he's had. He's like everybody talks about. He's good in the ring, but just not there character wise. So moving on from Ty Dillinger and all of that. Also on this show this week, they did a pretty good job building up this Sonya Deville versus Ember Moon for the NXT Women's Championship. So, like I said, Sonya Deville's been growing on me. I really liked her in this match, but this match was all about Ember Moon. She showed off her crisp, stiff strikes in the match. Ember Moon didn't dominate, but she was in the match enough throughout. Deville didn't dominate either, but I thought the story was about Ember Moon, her offense, her getting beat down a little bit, but just enough so she can make comebacks and look good in the match versus Deville. And this feels like an appropriate spot for Deville, someone who is kind of lower card on the women's roster at NXT, but gets called up, so that kind of adds to her mystique again, I guess. Adds to her value again. So she gets this championship match, but Ember Moon really shines in the match and gets the predictable win. And I don't think Deville loses anything losing this match in that way.
I'm not gonna be down on Ember Moon because she has had some great matches. This was the first one I really felt like you said she diversified her move. She was doing a couple little things just a little different, a little crisper, a little better, and I really enjoyed it. It makes me really excited to see what she's going to do in the championship match.
So after the match, Kairi Sane steps out onto the stage and she spies on Ember Moon's title with her telescope. And we speculated whether or not she'd be able to see John Cena with that telescope.
I need to see this.
Kairi Sane searching for John Cena with a telescope would be a fun thing to do on the internet if you have those meme or whatever GIF capabilities.
Get on it.
Yeah, anyway. Shayna Baszler comes out and chokes out Kairi Sane on the stage, and Ember Moon keeps her distance, stays in the ring, and gets interviewed about it afterwards, says, hey, look, if they want to step in the ring and step to me, that's fine, but I'm going to let them take care of their own business on their own. So I like the idea of Cien challenging Ember Moon. That's a big match to look forward to at some point, but I also like Shayna Baszler making her presence known and the rematch potential from the Mae Young Classic. Go ahead and elaborate, Joe, but please don't be too sour.
It's not that I'm too sour. It's just that with Shayna Baszler, I feel like we should build her up. I was not impressed with her in the women's classic as much as most people were. I felt she looked really green. She was great with submissions, obviously, and she's a striker. She's got the MMA background, but like everything was stiff. Everything she did was stiff in my mind, minus the Candice LeRae, getting Candice LeRae into her submission move off the top rope. I don't think she should be thrown into this as big a thing. I think she should have to work her way up a little bit more and work with some of these girls and get better.
I think they're going to, like, to me, the next takeover should be billed with Cien and Baszler kind of doing the rematch stick there.
And I think Cien can get obviously from the Mae Young Classic Finals. I think Cien can get a good match out of Shayna Baszler. So
because you still have the iconic duo, they can still do something in the title picture with Ember Moon, and finally finish that story.
I heard Billy.
But I'm kind of with you. But she's showing a lot of promise, and she's in the right house right now. Like, just the NXT developmental shit. Like, they got a good recipe down there, and she's in good hands to fucking craft.
Well, and there's all the speculation, of course, with Shayna Baszler being involved with Clinton Dix, Ronda Rousey, yes, and the Women's Royal Rumble. Who are going to some of the surprises be? Will Rousey come in and win the thing? You got the Rousey Asuka speculation. You got the Asuka Alexa Bliss speculation. The Nia Jax Alexa Bliss speculation. And so you got the 4 horsewomen versus the 4 horsewomen speculation.
That, I can't think of the other two broads' names. Clinton Dix. But outside of Shayna Baszler and Rousey, the other two are not training anymore, apparently, so that might be off the table.
Okay, interesting.
But, I guess some of the the rumors floating right now is, Ronda Rousey in the Women's Royal Rumble. I hope to God she's not, and I hope she doesn't win it, because that would just fucking be an insult to the Royal Rumble for the ladies to me.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people hoping that she wins it, and that...
they should die.
And goes on to face someone like Asuka, possibly, or obviously Alexa Bliss has the title now. So there's that. Some people speculating that she's in there, and so is like Stephanie or something, and Stephanie and
Clinton Dix,
Ronda Rousey face off at some point. So there's lots of different ways they could go. I don't like the Stephanie thing. I think Stephanie should stay out of the ring. I think she should stay off of fucking TV at this point, because she just the look of that thing that they did when they announced the Royal Rumble. Again, I like the words that she said when we talked about it last week. All of that felt good, but her towering over everybody and everybody standing rank and file in a line behind her and everybody holding hands in the air and yay, us women, even though they were all fighting minutes earlier. Something about that bothers me.
See, that did not bug me at all.
Yeah. Anyway, we talked about all of that last week. Back to NXT, the number 1 contender 4-way match that they've been building up over the last few weeks with some really great matches. The Gargano and Cassius Ohno match was a really great match. Aleister Black and Adam Cole from a couple of weeks back, a lot of fun. So it was Killian Dane versus Aleister Black versus Johnny Gargano versus Lars Sullivan. Let's talk about this Lars Sullivan entrance for a minute.
Lars.
So yeah, I like the red light on Lars on the stage, and then he gets in the ring, and the camera's just on a light, and it's like it almost looks like a mistake. Like, why is the camera just focusing on this light? But then Lars rises into the frame.
Lars,
and it's just this silhouette of Lars Sullivan with the white light behind him in the dark, and I just thought that was so cool. So that was a lot of fun.
And then if this was on like Raw, it would just be like 20 zooms and takes just for one intro for him.
So I enjoyed the Lars Sullivan entrance. Then early in the match, Sullivan catches 2 out of 3 guys diving on him. Unfortunately, Killian Dane was a little too much. Hit him with a very great dive right onto the grate. At the
I said it was degrading.
Ramp. It certainly was. Killian Dane splashes Sullivan through the table. I loved this spot where Sullivan's trying to slam Gargano through a table. Gargano is grabbing onto the scaffolding above the announce table. Then Aleister Black comes in from the side.
Superman's from out of nowhere into camera view.
Takes him out with a knee, and then Killian Dane just comes diving from the stage onto the announce area.
Barely made it.
Yeah, he busted up his elbow pretty good. Sullivan had a gash on his neck or whatever. Looked pretty rough.
Big old bruise.
But I just love that spot where all 3 guys kind of gang up on Sullivan to take him down for a few minutes there. Dane breaks up the Gargano escape. Looked like Gargano was going to get the win over Aleister Black there. Lars then crawls from the rubble. He looks like an alien. He's making this face that's just like, he crawls from the rubble of the cage. He comes back. Undisputed Era then stop Aleister Black from covering Lars after he hits the Black Mass on Lars. So the Undisputed Era getting involved. So that's an interesting
skullduggery
story there that's going to take place obviously between Aleister Black and the Undisputed Era and Adam Cole, because it was them attacking Aleister Black because, of course, since it is a 4-way, this is, of course,
This match, anything goes!
WWE rules, of course. But so with them attacking Aleister Black, that led to Johnny Gargano hitting the slingshot DDT on Aleister, and for the first time ever, someone has pinned Aleister Black. So many stories.
I still don't know how I feel about that.
Well, it's interesting because I kind of like it because now we don't have to tell the streak story with Aleister, and Aleister he's got this, he's now he has a grudge against Undisputed Era. If Johnny Gargano wins the championship, he's got something to prove against a guy who pinned him, and even if he doesn't win the championship, he's got something to prove against a guy that pinned him. So there's that story. You got Lars Sullivan, who got taken out with the Black Mass, who never and Aleister was never able to cover. So you've got a story there. You've got the story that everybody had to fucking gang up on Lars Sullivan to take him out. So and Killian Dane obviously diving onto Lars on the table, taking Lars out with the great dive. You could one-on-one matchup potential there that could be really good.
Well, even Morrow said too that there's some unfinished business between the two there.
Yes. So yeah, I loved all of the stories coming out of that match. Like you say, the long con coming into play with the undefeated streak of Aleister. This comeback story that they're telling with Johnny Gargano is so cool. Like, the breakup of DIY. Think about the timing of this is so good because DIY broke up at that was the WrestleMania takeover, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so we're coming up on a year. So Ciampa could come back anytime now.
Oh shit, yeah, he can.
Oh boy.
Fucking Ciampa.
So I mean, we're in the middle of telling this redemption story of where Johnny Gargano gets, beaten up by his former tag team partner. His tag team partner's injured, so he goes away. Now he kept losing and losing and losing. Finally, he defeats Cassius Ohno, makes it into this 4-way. He wins the 4-way, defeats the undefeated Aleister Black of all people. So now he's got all this momentum.
Didn't he lose a match and then ended up in another match for the Fatal 4-way?
I don't remember. That's certainly
I could have sworn he lost a qualifying match and then still got put in one. Yeah, it was for Velveteen Dream's injury.
Right, yeah, Velveteen got injured.
So it was like he was already, like, there to add to the underdog, was like he was already out of the Fatal 4-way.
Because, there was another 4-way or something to qualify or something or other. And, he was out of that. Then, the Velveteen Dream injury put him into this situation. Now he wins the fucking #1 contenders. What a redemption story. And now with him going into the match with Andrade, Cien, Almas. So much fun to speculate on all of that. So,
well, and that's good. I mean, we've seen these guys go at it before, and they've put on entertaining matches. Obviously, skullduggery factored into them. I'm hoping just for a clean pin,
Yeah, exactly. And NXT takeovers have really delivered that, and so I'm looking forward to those, of course. So, All right, I think that's going to be it, man. What a show! What a week it's been. Again, you got to check out Strong Honor this week. We talked
episodes.
Talked for an hour and a half. We broke down and previewed and predicted Wrestle Kingdom. So excited for Wrestle Kingdom coming up next week. So definitely check Strong Honor out this week. Make sure you follow the podcast at BPW Podcast, Facebook.com/Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. If you're new to the show, thanks for checking it out. Thanks for sticking around and listening all the way to the end. If you liked it, make sure you give us that positive 5-star review. Tell your friends on social media. Spread the word that you like this show and it's your new favorite pro wrestling fan-hosted podcast. If you don't, then just keep quiet. That's fine.
Yeah, shut up.
Follow me on Twitter at Tommy Stryker, spell Stryker with a Y. And if you want to email the show, bestprowrestlingpodcast at gmail.com. Go to the website, bestprowrestlingpodcast.com and or stronghonor.com. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention sltdwrestling.com. That's single leg takedown, wrestling with the fundamentals. They've got a really fun end of the year awards thing that they're doing, like a best of the year kind of a thing that you can vote on, you can participate on. So check that out. I'd put my votes in.
Really like these guys, and I love the fantasy league.
Yeah, they got a fantasy league. They got a predictions league for every WWE pay-per-view. Again, a very WWE-centric website, but they're getting more. They're coming around more and more, doing more New Japan stuff as well. So you can listen to this podcast there, of course. But yeah, check out that year-end awards and go ahead and vote on it like I did earlier today. And maybe we'll talk about that on next week's show here on the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. Taco, where can people find you?
Ooh, you can find me in your neighborhood frozen food section buying 100% all-natural beef steakums.
100%.
Or you can find me on Twitter at HGREV Taco.
And you can follow me, Joe, at JoeBPWP. That's at Joe, Best Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Thanks again for checking out the show. Check out Strong Honor and tune in next week to the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. Bye.
Peace.
Is that what it is, pal?
Yeah, that is what it is, guy.
Hi. Well, now I know, friend.
Well, I'm glad that both of you know, cheats.
Yep. All the women want to walk with Elias. It's Rusev Day! Hug me! Hold me tight!
Camera 1, camera 2.
Camera 1,
camera 1, camera 2. Camera 1, camera 2.
Scooby-Doo ending.